Well, guys, I don't really know what to do with this channel, but I've always wanted to cover this guy. His name is Shaves, or CaribouCoon. His videos to me are like peak AniTube videos. They're always very well done. His CaribouCoon channel isn't like the main one that's always perfectly done, like it's always uploaded. Shaves is the more uploaded one that he has. His videos are just so immaculate and good, and he's really good at talking about a single thing. He did one on magical girls after this one, and it's good, but I don't think it's as good as the single ones. The single ones he can single out specific things, and this one and the Sally the Witch one are both really good. I have to say, they're super good. Really, really well done. So I wanted to react to one before I had to go to work today. This is Himitsu no Akko-Chan, or Akko-Chan's Secret. One of the many things by Fujio Akatsuka that has never been released here. The Cynicism of Osamatsu-kun has been released, but none of and that one Bakabon show, but this show has never gotten really a release in America, and it has been kinda snubbed. I feel annoyed because we get like 50,000 different things from Discotheque, but none of this cool stuff. Hold on. We already have. Let's begin. We need to see the rocket baby.
Hey, it's Shaves. Himitsu no Akko-Chan and Sally the Witch are the two series that together started the genre of magical girls, one for manga and the other for anime. Their anime are also among the longest running, each being about as long as Sailor Moon and Ojamaja Doremi. Only Precure has all of them beat. Akko is only a handful of volumes that have been re-released several times, so despite holding the distinction of first manga, this video is going to focus on just the anime. And yet, both of these series are left virtually unknown in the West, since they haven't even been translated by fans, who might only know them from a few surface-level details. For a general overview, I recommend Aaron Cerise's Maho Profile, and for a production and historical background, I recommend Ehoba's History of Magical Girls article. This video covers Akko-Chan and both remakes, and provides 3 points that I think are valuable. A tally of everything Akko uses the mirror for, a brief overview of the core cast, differences between each iteration, and I also provide a truncated list of typical anime length with the best or most essential episodes of each series that I enjoyed even without subtitles. There are 2 other videos, one that provides similar information for Sally the Witch, and the other for commentary on the genre today in the face of these first titles.
The commentary on the genre today honestly kind of makes me sad, and it wasn't as good as these other ones. At the first time I watched it, I thought it was really good. Second time watching it, I don't think it's as good as I thought it was. And to me, I am really disappointed these have not gotten released in the States. No releases from any company. To this day, we still don't have them. And that annoys me a lot. Like, a lot. Like, seriously, bring them over. I'll bring them over. I'll take my heart, my soul, put it right in there.
Atsuko Kagami is a regular human who is bestowed a magical compact mirror that can transform her into anything. This compact works by Akko gazing into the mirror, saying the magic words, and then speaking what she wants to turn into. She does occasionally run into problems with not properly articulating what she wants. The mirror is not telepathic. There's no limits to how many times she can use the compact, and the magic is mostly permanent until she undoes it with a different phrase. It's like a safety word. This becomes a frequent problem when she loses the compact and gets stuck as whatever she is. There were 2 exceptions back-to-back in the first series where the spell is undone by falling from a great height. However, there's never a case I can think of where any harm she gets in one form is carried over to her real body. In terms of how often
This looks just so much fun.
often she uses the mirror, it was most often just once or twice an episode in the first season. There were even 2 episodes where she didn't transform at all and just used other powers of the mirror. Halfway through the show, Akko can use the compact to enter a mirror dimension and travel in and out of other mirrors. It also has one-time uses too, such as image capturing, memory
There's just a dude with a gun.
wiping, and making Akko deaf. She asked it to do that, just to know what it's like. But teleporting was the most common alternate use. The 80s remake, or Akko 2, does away with all those powers and just has Akko transform more frequently, most often 2 or 3 times, even up to 6 in one episode. They did sell the original mirror as a toy back in the day. In fact, that was one of the earliest cases of tie-in merchandise for anime. But nowadays, you don't just have the original, you also get an upgrade form. However, this was much towards the end of the show, so I couldn't parse any actual differences that weren't just cosmetic. The 90s iteration, or Akko 3, has the highest ratio of transformations per episode, with 4 episodes having her transform 6 times. And this mirror also gets an upgrade form. Halfway through, Akko can use the mirror to look through other mirrors. Since it's so straightforward to keep track of,
Mirrorception.
I wrote down everything Akko transforms into. They can be grouped into 4 categories. The most
Stars are making the graphics look worse.
frequent is becoming other people, copying everything about them perfectly except their voice. Akko has to manually disguise that and to be careful in the manner of Japanese she speaks. This transformation option comes with the most risk because the original person is still walking around, and it's usually done to take that person's place, impersonating them. This may be one reason why she hardly transforms into someone from her friend group. Akko gets to walk in another person's shoes, and this out-of-body inexperience is a great source of appeal. Just because Akko can copy the body perfectly doesn't mean she's inherited that person's mannerisms, memories, or skills. When she copies an idol, she isn't suddenly a good singer or dancer. And she acts notably feminine when she transforms into a man, which...
What the? Whoa, that 57. Oh my god, what?
oddly happens more and more frequently with each remake. Akko
It's not that embarrassing. I really don't think it is. You get to pee standing up. Don't have to do a squat. It doesn't go everywhere.
experiences a little body dysphoria when becoming a wrestler, but otherwise becoming a different gender is never a factor the show comments on. She just treats it as any other disguise. In fact, she more often reacts with discomfort or bewilderment when transforming into animals. This is the next most frequent category, most often as a bird so she can fly. That specific choice is used so often just to travel from point A to point B. For several episodes of the original, it's the only thing she uses the mirror for, so it sometimes makes the magic a little bit of an afterthought. Unlike turning into other people, Akko does adopt the animal's physical attributes here. So she becomes a fish to swim better, or a mouse to become smaller. And turning into a species means she can also talk to that species. So you have Akko often turning into a cat so she can talk with her pet Chipona, who for instance tells her something is wrong with these frogs, so Akko turns into a frog to find out. To me, these transformations are what really make the compact seem like a tool for Akko to use, which is different from most subsequent transformation devices in the genre, which really just amount to an on-off switch. The third category is a
I would just say that the two in Precure and on-off switch, they also have personalities too. You have to appeal to them in order for them to open. It's just more of a nuanced thing.
catch-all for everything non-human or animal, from mythical creatures like ghosts, fairies, or aliens, to characters like Sherlock Holmes or Peter Pan, even inanimate objects on very rare occasions, like toys or statues.
So play nice.
The me dolls. That's what me dolls are based off of. The Toy Story.
She doesn't appear to have much control over what these look like, as Akko often acts very surprised. Twice in the original series, she chooses to impersonate a dead person, which is a pretty gross, insensitive thing to do, regardless of how.
It is, but I think they're doing it in good spirits, I will say. As gross as it is, they're trying to live the memory of them, not because of anything gross, but because of the person's love. I'm sure it's for a good reason. I'm not. This is a show like for children. I don't think they're gonna, or at least a good heart, good spirited show that's not doing it for any wrong reasons. Yes, it's weird, but in case of it, I'm sure it's in for good reason.
How well intentioned she was, but at least both times were limited to one scene.
Yeah.
I still think this category is my favorite because Akko often does these transformations for no other reason than to just try them. As a kid, it's fun to imagine how it would feel to be a ghost or a butterfly or someone else. And it's enjoyable to see that fantasy executed pragmatically. What if someone captured you and made you their pet? What if it turned out this person had a tougher job than you first thought? What if you got shot?
Holy crap! Wow!
And this idea of wanting to become something you're not leads into Akko's most iconic transformation.
Sorry.
In this last category, Akko just alters her own identity. Akko has only truly aged herself up twice, and she's also used the mirror to simply change outfits. But when you put those two together, you can dabble in a bit of propaganda and become a policewoman to break stuff up. She becomes certain professions like nurse, delivery girl, lion tamer, bunny girl. Nobody recognizes her, but these are still in her own image.
Someone's going to prison, and after this, they swear it. But like, it's done in good fun. I get it. It's all done in good fun. But she like a little girl in the body, grown woman. I'm sure, like person. That could be a metaphor for something. Oh, we're going with that design. Okay.
But again, these are still just appearances. Akko can pretend to be a snake charmer, but she's not going to suddenly be able to charm snakes.
It's in the knees. It's in the knees. They like the sound of the feet. They can't really hear the actual instrument.
Unlike Minky Momo, who uses this exact trope, except she's automatically the best in whatever she becomes.
That is the best thing about that show. It's also really great. And the character designs, they go with like a Heathcliff weird design for them. Definitely feels like some deep people worked on that show.
Which I guess is its own appeal, but I don't know. I love Bridge Over Dreams, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I like me some Mickey Momo. Here's why it's the most iconic. Akko doesn't just turn into something she's not. She turns into something she could be. It's different.
Yes. And that is a very inspiring thing.
Different from turning into a mouse or a mermaid or your mom. This is a literal when I grow up option. Even if it's not something a viewer at home wanted to be, seeing Akko become a firefighter in order to charge into a building to help her friend escape is inspiring. The limitless potential a child has in their future is undeniable. And I think that's why this is the category that's most homaged by the likes of Minky Momo, Cutie Honey, and Sailor Moon. As I said earlier, the overly pragmatic use of the mirror can sometimes make the show very ordinary. This is a criticism.
Ordinary does not mean bad. Let me tell you something. As much as I love insane plot lines with crackhead level madness, it doesn't mean the thing is going to be great. Or that, like, I can't or for anything simpler. Oh boy, it's ordinary. Forget it. Even for something as old as this. It's all about the execution and what you do with that ordinariness. Just because it's ordinary doesn't Like Kira Kurosawa, his movies. He did a bunch of samurai movies. Buildings are burning, insane things are happening. When really, to me, some of his best movies are about ordinary people or people in desperate times going through something humanely easy. Not really stuff like of all things, all the death and destruction. A man losing his cat in a movie in Madadayo, not yet, is the saddest thing. Way sadder than any of the elaborate madness of any of his other movies. Personally, to me. And that's kind of a joy of ordinary things, honestly.
Is mostly of the original, and that's why I'd ultimately recommend Akko 2 or even 3 more. In those series, the
Akko-Chan looks good because I think a lot of the people behind it were very. A lot of who's who were in there.
magic is used more daringly and creatively, with fewer
But you don't need to be daring or creative. Here's the thing: I don't personally care if you're an old series. Just don't repeat the same thing. Or if you're gonna do it, then do same storyline or have them develop a little bit as characters. Or don't do that. Just make it funny. Do something with it. Don't make the plotline boring. Kind of my problem with Lupin if the plotline is boring. Why I'm gonna disagree with him when he did his Lupin video. I like the supernatural stuff or weird stuff in there because it gives some layer to something besides this.
repeats, and plays a more pivotal, if not central, role in each episode. But if you were to credit the original with something that the sequels do adhere to, it's what it decides to fill the show up with instead. More than any magical girl anime I've ever seen, this is a real ensemble show. It's not a team like Sailor Moon or even a typical supporting cast. Instead of the Sailor Scouts, imagine Naru and Umino found their way into every episode.
The problem is, you know what the thing is about that, though? I kind of thought that originally. I feel like they did not get as much of a... That's what I kind of wanted, honestly. They never get that in the show. They only come in once in a while, and you have to deal with the main character. And they're fine main characters. They're fine. I'm looking at the screen here. They're fine main characters. But, I agree. God, I win. Yes! But, like, for that, you're gonna have an ensemble cast and a lot of more about the people. More about the people. I like more stuff about people than I do about, like, big elaborate things more as I've gotten older.
Akko-Chan is not just about Akko. It's about Moko and her brother Kankichi, Taisho and his brother Shosho, Tora and Shippona. This is a group of active players that often find their way into every story. It's a trope of manga author Fujio Akatsuka, who wrote other manga with a core cast like Osamatsu-kun, Tensei Bakuban,
Which I'm gonna do a little bit of a review of the... Osamatsu-kun is a show that can be very funny. It can be. Depending on the episode. There are some episodes that are really fun. As formulaic as it is, the episodes that are really funny, have good commentary, or have something of interest are really good, and then any of them, I don't think. They have to have something of fighting in order for it to work. Or there could have been some script rewrites that could have made it a lot better. Bakuman I like a lot more than Osamatsu-kun. I wish we got more of that one. We only have the 2018 series, which disappoints me.
and Moretsu Ataro. The show spends so much time with some of these characters, it can feel like they get more screen time than Akko. Even when you move into the remakes, where Akko's parents and teachers are completely different characters. In fact, interestingly enough, there's hardly any teachers in Akko 3. This core group of kids stay very much the same. Even when you have like a 6-year-old obsessed with Rakugo in the 90s, like, oh, okay. Unfortunately, they're each very simple archetypes that don't get much dimension or surprise. And
you don't need much dimension or surprise. Sometimes you don't need so much dimension for a character. If you can be funny, if you can be anything, then it doesn't need as much dimension. It doesn't need it. Sometimes you don't need it.
I think that's why the show still often resorts to outside guest characters for conflict.
Oh,
But for the few times they do give these characters something to work with, it does make for some of the best episodes of the series. Taisho is the not-so-tough bully who's often a main source of conflict with his
why has he got a knife?
bravado attitude and short-sighted schemes. But he does get a wonderful episode where he makes friends with a blind girl and brings her to the ocean, which she's never felt before. He's very well-meaning, but really puts her in danger. When it turns out the girl is able to get surgery to see again, he's self-conscious about his appearance. And yeah, it's every bit as wholesome as you would want it to be. There's a number of decent episodes where Moko gets into a fight with Akko. Since Akko is more of an equal to Moko in this series, I think it lends to them butting heads and having more beef than you'd expect. They're kind of catty towards each other, from what I could tell. They're still friends for the whole show, don't get me wrong, but I actually wish they were closer than you'd assume. And I really liked this
Oh my. Alright, dude. Okay.
episode in
Alright, I mean, it's fine. Whatever.
Akko 2, where they all had to work together after getting stranded on a desert island. That reminds me, Akko 2 features a boy from the mirror world named Kyo, although he never realizes
Who's competing with Goku in biggest hair awards.
Akko knows that, and their dynamic is barely developed. But I want to give a special highlight to my favorite character in this entire group. Chikako is a very iconic part of this show, much like Iyami's "Chee!" I'm pretty sure I've heard her catchphrase referenced in other anime. She's a literal toxic gossip train, spying or eavesdropping on everybody before blurting out what she's seen or heard to everybody. She has
I always thought about the idea of gossip, and to me, I think there is a lot of fun in it because it's that you hear something, I'm looking at, oh yeah, but no, our host is one of the greats, but it doesn't look like it, but the idea of gossiping is fun because you get, and I probably would get it. I have a lot of gossiping with my family, but cute.
a whole episode to herself directed by Mamoru Hosoda that revels in the joy she gets from rumor milling, as well as the consequences of this meddling behavior. For the majority of the series, Chikako is a character everyone bears with, rather than gets along with. She's very shallow, not that cunning, bumbling.
Which is fine. Again, you don't need that is a character trait that makes them who they are as people. I really... Alright, I don't know that. That's...
Kind of a gremlin. But she's still considered a part of this friend group, hardly ever treated as an antagonist. I gravitated to her more than any other character because I knew instantly what she was about, and what she could contribute to the story was always interesting to me, even though it hardly wound up that way. Again, she's, not very competent. In this episode, however, everyone finally tunes her out, and even accuse her of lying.
Which is something I'm kind of gotten too used to, where it's like, I understand if a person is annoying like this, but that's meaner than the person. I'm gonna start saying that you can't be doing something to a person where it's yeah, that they're doing is mean, but then tuning a person out like that is also honestly, what they should have done has been alright, how do you hear these rumors? How do you hear any of these rumors? Do you come up with it on your own? Do you do any of these things? How do you figure out any of this stuff? Or at least there should be a confrontation. Not just tuning her out. Maybe do it at first, then be listening, be alright, what's going on? What's the problem? And where do you find all this stuff?
Making things up to get attention. And after decades of this character just shouting into the void, we finally get a scene that shows us why she acts this way.
Okay, now you're just tearing my soul to pieces. Bye. Oh my god, no.
Her loneliness and desire for connection is just laid bare. And then the episode somehow finds a way to lift her up and empower her without changing who she is. I think this is Akko 3's best quality. They always keep Chikako one step away from catching Akko in the act. They understand Chikako is the best equipped character to apply the pressure that is at the crux of Akko-Chan and most magical girl anime.
それはね、秘密。
The whole show is predicated on Akko's power being kept a secret, but the way this secret works changed significantly between seasons. In the very first episode, once she gets the mirror, Akko naturally does what any 10-year-old would do if she suddenly got a magic mirror. She tells her mom. She's excited to show what she can do, as I think anyone would be when they get something cool or learn a new skill or make something. They want to show their power off to others, but the mirror doesn't work. It turns out the mirror only works when nobody sees her transform.
And you know, I really think I get the idea. But also, you know, maybe it was like made, like that scene was made because maybe they were growing up and like the mom was very nice and just listened to her daughter saying that.
The exception to this apparently being animals. This is why Akko chooses to use her power in secret, because it won't work otherwise. It's a purely pragmatic choice, and besides the typical wrongdoings of lying and impersonating somebody else, there's no consequences for her getting caught. If she were ever caught pretending to be her teacher or her mom, I think it'd be fair to face consequences from those people. Akko never tells anyone either. This makes her cat, Epona, her only true ally in the series. A close companion who can share Akko's secret. For example, she's the only one who recognizes and can help Akko when she accidentally gets stuck as a ghost. This is where a lot of people presume animal mascots of the genre came from. But in a way, I'm glad Epona is nothing like those characters. I like that the cat gets to be her own independent character rather than this central character filling a very specific role in the story. And
I mean, she is the central role, but just a different way.
very consistently this way the whole time. What isn't consistent is the secret itself. In both Akko 2 and Akko 3, the queen of the mirror world who gifts Akko the compact makes a stipulation. If Akko is caught using the mirror, not only will she lose the power, she'll lose it by also losing her own reflection. That's something
She a freaking vampire?
vampires are cursed with. It's creepy. This is how both remakes end. One day Akko messes up and she's seen using the mirror, loses her own reflection, and can't use the mirror anymore. Except it's even worse in Akko 3, where the Mirror Queen is just judgmental that Akko is using the mirror selfishly, so she lures Mako into catching Akko. I think this is an awful way to end things, even if they do resolve it by having Akko use it one more time to save somebody's life, earning her reflection back. For as boring,
That's fine.
and repetitive, and unfocused, and not that visually exciting I thought Akko 1 was, at least it didn't end so predictably and rotten as this. She loses her powers in the original too, by using them in an extreme way that burns the compact out. At least that was by Akko's choice! I don't like this secret being imposed upon in the remake. If it has to be a secret, I would rather it be imposed by the mechanics, not somebody else, who for that matter has the audacity to judge what Akko chooses to use the mirror for. It's an insult to the independence of her character. People may argue, oh, but that's what the show is trying to teach, not use your talents for your selfish gain or whatever. Okay.
Selfishness can be good in some way, not like, I'm not saying you shouldn't have any self-worth, but like, you need a little bit of some selfishness to get for yourself, not to the point where it turns nasty, just like, self to do a lot of things.
show her using them for selfish gain, only to get negative real-world consequences for it. Have her learn something, don't just judge and punish her. I think the one thing that redeems the show's namesake, Himitsu no Akko-Chan, is that nobody gets to tell Akko when or if to use her powers. She chooses for herself, and sometimes she uses it selfishly. That should be more than okay, presuming she's not causing harm. Like Shikako, funny enough. Akko also happens to be very nosy. What stands out as Akko's primary characteristic is her unrelenting curiosity and compassion. I don't know what she was like before getting the mirror, except that she was the kind of person who buries a broken mirror in the yard because she felt sorry for it. I love how her reaction to any situation is, maybe there's something I can do about this, with the power only she knows she has. Because it's a secret, nobody asks her to use the mirror. She just helps. That drive is what makes her the main character of this ensemble cast. Not just that she's the magical girl. Despite some disempowering choices, the series manages to make Akko an empowering character, which is what these shows are really all about. Despite being nearly 100 episodes, I could only bring myself to assemble 13 episodes.
Well, to each his own. I don't have any real access to it. If it ever gets released, that'll be the day.
Highly recommend. Though I did enjoy the majority of episodes, and I definitely think I'll enjoy more of them once they're translated. What I thought were great episodes that I have not already mentioned include that time Moko takes care of a huge dog that fights Shipona, which was very wacky and well animated. A tense but encouraging episode about a resentful girl who broke her foot. And of course a very well-known episode about Akko learning about her sister who died in childbirth. Akko 2
That's the, I think I saw Takahata one.
is probably my favorite season, mainly for its production. I love the designs, the backgrounds, and the animation is definitely at its best here. Not to mention, while I actually really like the EDs for all 3 seasons, they're all bangers, nothing beats Akko 2. The visuals are like the only thing Akko goes viral for these days, but it's for good reason. As for the episodes of that series I haven't mentioned, my favorites include a sort of remake to an original Akko episode about a horse and his boy that I thought was just a great improvement. Then there's an episode with a very unexpected setting in Africa because her dad's a TV reporter, so she travels there. It has a great drama over a race and she turns into a cheetah. It's cool. And then there's a very fun concept episode that's centered on Akko learning more about her parents when they were young. And she transforms into the younger versions of each of them. It's really cute. As for Akko 3, it's one of the earliest Digipaint anime from Toho.
Why'd you pick that photo? What's going on with the eyes there? I love Digipaint. Bring it back. I hate it now. Everything now.
And by the numbers, was the series I enjoyed the least. But it makes up for that with several of the best episodes in the entire franchise, most of which, again, directed by Mamoru Hosoda, along with a self-reflective episode about Akko's proclivity for weird transformations as the crew fights over which kind of dumpling is better. Fun times! And an episode featuring a Poitrine parody and how these kind of shows appeal to boys. Or maybe just Taisho. I always wanted to watch Sailor Moon and Sally the Witch, and they were both about 200 episodes, so I thought I'd watch them together. But I chose to include Akko after realizing it was also 200 episodes. I knew how important the original was to this genre. I really liked how Akko 2 looked, and I really enjoyed those Akko 3 episodes directed by Mamoru Hosoda, which I used as part of my first convention panel at Anime Boston. But the biggest downside to watching anime without subtitles, in my experience, is that it's much easier to forget what you've watched. It just doesn't stick with you like an anime you can completely understand. That's why I took notes about every episode, and that's the primary reason I stuck with making these videos, despite me taking so long on them and getting awfully discouraged. I just got in my head about, oh, no one wants to watch a video like this.
Yeah, I do. I love it. I love it all. Don't say that about yourself. Stop that.
And, yeah, it's just not great thoughts. However, I don't know how much of that frustration was from making these videos and how much it was burnout from posting videos.
I believe that.
posting videos and not making videos because I still love making videos. It's become my profession after all. But I've come to really hate uploading to YouTube and not being happy with how many views they get or when they do.
Boo! Who said that? Who was like, this is a great video.
Do get views people don't like or appreciate what I make. It's a drug that
I appreciate what you make. You make better things than most anime creators.
I'm unhappily addicted to. But I refuse to give up on it because this channel is where it all started for me, creatively and professionally. It still means a lot, and I haven't said it nearly enough, but all of you listening mean a lot to me too.
Thanks, man. You mean a lot to me, too. Alright, everybody. That was the end of the Himitsu no Akko-Chan video reaction. I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to react a lot more to this one. They're always so interesting, and this guy is always so cool. I wanted to make something today. And he made me feel a lot better today than I was gonna feel. Thanks, Shibs.